Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the Flamehead97 and I'm here today to give you guys my video for the best albums of 2005. I know I've done a video like this before where I've listed off the best metal and rock albums of 2005, but this video is going to be different. There's going to be no metal and rock albums in this list. That was my rule for this video, since I already have a video where I talked about the best metal and rock albums of 2005. So if y'all want to know which albums made that list, just check out that video. So I just want to get my rule out of the way for this list. So let's go and begin, guys. So the first album on the list is going to be Most Known Unknown by 3 6 Mafia. This is a really good album from 3 6 Mafia. It's probably my favorite 3 6 Mafia album. It's the era that introduced me to this group, and I'm glad it did because I like a lot of their stuff, including this album. So Most Known Unknown, definitely one of the best rap and hip hop albums of 2005. Had to put it on here. Got a lot of dope songs like Stay Fly, Side to Side, Poppin' My Collar. There was another song on this album that I liked on there called Half on a Sack. Body Parts 3 was also on this album, so you had a lot of good songs on this album. So first up in the list is Most Known Unknown by 3 6 Mafia. So the next album in the list is going to be Some Hearts by Carrie Underwood. This is her debut album. It was released in 2005, which I think was the same year that she won American Idol. So it's pretty cool. It's not my number one or favorite Carrie Underwood album, but I still think it's a great album. You had songs like Wasted, Don't Forget to Remember Me, the album's title track. Of course, the big hit, Jesus Take the Wheel, Just Can't Live a Lie. Many great songs though. So Some Hearts by Carrie Underwood had to make the list. Big fan of her music. Next album on the list is going to be Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. I know this album was originally released in 2004, but in the United States it was released in 2005. So that's why I'm putting it on this list, since it's released in the U.S. in 2005. Good album. Had songs like These Words, the title track, Unwritten. Single was a good song. I Bruise Easily was a great ballad. So Unwritten has a lot of good songs on it, so I had to put it on here, guys. Great stuff. Next album is going to be Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101 by rapper Young Jeezy. This is a good album. Had a lot of good songs on it, like Bang featuring T.I. and Lil Scrappy, My Hood, and Then What featuring Manny Fresh, and a lot of other good songs. So Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101, dope album from Jeezy, so I had to put it on the list. Next album is going to be Monkey Business by the Black Eyed Peas. This is a really good album from the Black Eyed Peas. You had a lot of good songs like Don't Funk With My Heart, My Humps, Don't Lie, My Style. Just a dope album from the Black Eyed Peas. Definitely one of their best albums. So I had to put it on here. I grew up with this stuff when it comes to the Black Eyed Peas. Great stuff here. Next album is going to be The Emancipation of Mimi by Mariah Carey. Of course, this album makes the list. It's my favorite Mariah Carey album of all time. A lot of good songs are on this, like It's Like That, featuring Jermaine Dupri, Fat Man Scoop. Another song on there is We Belong Together. Of course, the song Shake It Off was on this album. So Lonely was on this album. So you had a lot of good songs off of The Emancipation of Mimi by Mariah Carey. Definitely another album that I grew up to pretty much. Good stuff. Next album is going to be The Documentary by The Game. I had to put this on here. The Game, he's a dope rapper. This was his debut album. So I had to put it on here, guys. A lot of good stuff like This Is How We Do, or How We Do featuring 50 Cent. Hate It or Love It featuring 50 Cent. I think Eminem was also on a song on this album. So, a really good rap and hip hop album of 2005 and just the 2000s in general. Good stuff here from The Game. Next album is going to be Rebirth by Jennifer Lopez. I know J-Lo gets a lot of hate, but I like some of her music, including some songs off of this album, Rebirth. Get Right was on this album. Of course, you had the Get Right remix featuring Fabulous on this, and a lot of other good songs, so for that, I'm putting it on the list here, guys. Next album in the list is going to be The Massacre by 50 Cent. Of course, I had to put this on here. Definitely another good and rap and hip-hop album of 2005. I put it on here. He had a lot of good songs like Candy Shop featuring Olivia. I'm forgetting some song names on this album because it's been a while, but it's definitely a dope album though. And a lot of these songs on here are nostalgic for me, especially Candy Shop with Olivia. Definitely a song I grew up to. So The Massacre, dope album, so I'm putting it here on the list. Next album is going to be Kerosene by country singer Miranda Lambert. Another great country album from 2005. This is also Miranda Lambert's debut album. So had a lot of good songs like the album's title track, Kerosene, Nowhere Bound for Nowhere, Greyhound Bound for Nowhere. It's been a while since I've listened to anything from this album, so my bad, guys, with not being able to remember certain song names. That happens a lot, but Kerosene, still definitely a very good album from Miranda Lambert, so it's going to make the list, y'all. Next album is going to be The One by Frankie J. This is a good album from Frankie J. I think he's an underrated singer. Had a lot of good songs on this album like Obsession featuring Baby Bash. Of course, How to Deal. Don't Want to Try was also included on this album. I think the album also had a title track, so yeah, it's definitely a good R&B album and worth checking out. Great stuff there from Frankie J. So the next album is going to be Songs About Me from country singer Trace Adkins. This was a good album. Yes, it's true, I don't know everything on it, but I knew maybe a few songs on it, so for that reason I'm going to put it on here. You got the album's title track. Of course, Honkytonk, Donkey Donk, which is one of his biggest songs. So yeah, good stuff here from Trace Adkins. Next album is going to be Choices 2 by 3 6 Mafia. So 3 6 Mafia actually had 2 albums out in 2005. This is the soundtrack album to the movie Choices 2. Definitely a good soundtrack. So I had to put it on here, guys. It's counted as a studio album as well, so for that I'm going to put it here on the list. Next is going to be Modern Day Drifter by Dierks Bentley, another country album. A lot of good songs on this one, like Come a Little Closer. Down on Easy Street was a great song. So, Dierks Bentley's Modern Day Drifter, definitely a really good album and one of his best for sure. The next one is going to be Blue Stars by Pretty Ricky. Pretty Ricky, just nostalgic for me. A lot of good stuff on this album, like Your Body was on this album. Grind With Me was on this album. There was even another song on here that I liked where they rapped on it. It was a dope song as well. I'm forgetting the name of the song, but it was on this album as well. So Blue Stars by Pretty Ricky, definitely dope R&B and hip-hop here. Good album. Next is going to be All or Nothing by Fat Joe. This was a really good album by Fat Joe, one of my favorites. Has a lot of good stuff on it. Jennifer Lopez, one of her songs that was on her Rebirth album, was also included on Fat Joe's All or Nothing album, which is pretty cool, because that don't happen all the time when artists work together. But yeah, All or Nothing, Definitely a dope album by Fat Joe, so I'm going to put it on here. Great stuff. Next album is going to be Wanted by Bow Wow. This is a good album. Sierra was on this album on the song Like You, of course. Fresh as a Miz was on this one. Let Me Hold You with the Maury on. This album had the hits, guys. Definitely good stuff. So, I'm putting it here on here because I like some songs on the album. Next is going to be the self-titled album by country singer Jason Aldean. I like Jason Aldean. His self-titled album is definitely very good. One of the best country debuts of the 2000s. So, had to put it on here. Hicktown was on this album. Of course, the song Why. Amarillo Sky. His version of Asphalt Cowboy. So, a lot of good songs from self-titled album by Jason Aldean. Good stuff when it comes to the country scene. Next is going to be Time Well Wasted by Brad Paisley. Great country artist. Time Well Wasted was a good album. She's Everything was on here. Of course, a song with Dolly Parton. He had a song with her on this album. Waiting on a Woman was also included on this album. So, Time Well Wasted, good album. Next is going to be Late Registration by rapper Kanye West. One of his best albums. Great album. Heard Him Say was on this album. That song features Maroon 5 frontman Adam Levine. Also on this album was Gold Digger, of course. One of Kanye's biggest hits at that time. So yeah, a lot of good songs on this. I think Touch the Sky with Lupe Fiasco is also on Late Registration. So this album has a lot of dope stuff and one of the best rap and hip hop albums of 2005. Next album is The People's Champ by Paul Wall. I think this is Paul Wall's debut album. A lot of good stuff on it. He had T.I. on this song. I think the song was called So Many Diamonds. 3 6 Mafia was also on this album. Bun B was on this album. Mike Jones. So yeah, a lot of dope stuff here from Paul Wall. One of his best albums for sure. Next is going to be PCD by the Pussycat Dolls. I really like this group. They had a lot of good songs on this album like Don't Ya featuring Busta Rhymes. Definitely a dope song and very nostalgic song for me. Stick With You was on here. Beep featuring will.i.am, another good song. Wait a Minute with Timbaland. Buttons, the solo version of the song was included on PCD, so this was a really good album from these girls. Good stuff. Next is going to be The Trinity by Sean Paul. Really like this album. He had songs like We Be Burnin'. Of course, the big hit Temperature. Gonna Give It Up to Me. That was a good song. So yeah, The Trinity by Sean Paul. Definitely good stuff here if you like dancehall music. So, The Trinity, definitely good stuff. Next in my list is going to be Doing Something Right by Billy Currington, another great country album of that year. He had songs like Must Be Doing Something Right, Good Directions, and just many other good songs. It's been a while since I listened to anything from this album as well, so I'm forgetting song names by heart. So my bad on this, guys. Alright, y'all, let me turn the page here so I can finish up the list. So next is going to be The Road and the Radio by Kenny Chesney. Another country album of 2005, but definitely a really good album here. Summertime was on this album. There was many other good songs on this album as well. So, The Road and the Radio, definitely one of Kenny's best albums of his 2000s material. So, I like this album, had a lot of good stuff. So, I'm going to put it here on the album list for best albums of 2005, because it's a really good album. Next is going to be The Sound of Revenge by rapper Chameleonaire. This was a dope album. I think Chameleonaire is worth way more than just to be known as a one-hit wonder with his song Riding from this exact album. It's a good song, but this album is worth a lot more than that as well, and just Chameleonaire overall, because he's a dope rapper. Had songs on this album like Riding with Crazy Bone, Turn It Up with Lil Flip, of course, Silent Takeover featuring Killer Mike and Pastor Troy, one of my favorites here on the album. Flies the Sky was a dope song as well, had Lil Wayne and another rapper on there. the singer Natalie, she was also on this album. So this album, definitely a great album, and Chameleon overall deserves more love because he's a dope rapper. Next album is going to be The Rising Tide by Fort Minor. Fort Minor is Mike Shinoda by... So, if you guys don't know who Fort Minor is, he's Mike Shinoda from the band Linkin Park. His album The Rising Tide was dope, had a lot of good stuff like Where'd You Go, that's a great song. Of course, Believe Me was on this album, definitely a good song, extremely underrated. Petrified was here, of course the song Remember the Name, that's on this album. So The Rising Tide, definitely good stuff from Fort Minor. Next album is the self-titled album by Chris Brown. I think this is back when Chris Brown actually put effort into his music and just made great music for everybody. He had a lot of good songs on this album, like Run It. Of course, you had Say Goodbye, which was a great song. Yo, Excuse Me Miss, Give Me That, and even the Give Me That remix with Lil Wayne was here on this album. So the self-titled album by Chris Brown is definitely a very good album, and one of his best for sure. So I'm going to include that album here on the best albums of 2005 list. Definitely a really great R&B album here. So we're going to close off the video with The Carter 2 by Lil Wayne. This was a great album from Lil Wayne. He had a lot of good songs on this album like Fireman. Robin Thicke was on this album as well on one of the songs. Hustler Music was on this album, which is a really good song. One of his best on the album. So, yeah, The Carter 2, just a badass and awesome rap and hip-hop album. One of Wayne's best albums throughout his whole career. So, yeah guys, that's all I got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I apologize if I didn't get to say much for certain albums. It's been a while since I've listened to any of these albums, so I tend to forget song names here and there. But I hope you guys still enjoyed the video nonetheless. Let me know y'all's favorite albums of 2005. I will have some honorable mentions in the comments of this video once I go to upload it, since I can get to include everything from this year of music, that being 2005. So yeah, y'all, I'm gonna see y'all next time. Thanks for watching my video for best albums of 2005. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.